Hello folks, only me. So today on my little workbench I've got my electric powered NSU Quickly Moped, which I built a few years ago now. I think it was 2019, and I got a video or two of it on YouTube, and a few people have asked on YouTube, and some other people have asked me, you know, how I actually did it. In other words, the mechanics of it, because it's basically the gearbox is the same, but instead of the two-stroke engine powering it, I've got the little skateboard motor powering it. So we'll do a quick run round of what I've actually done here, and then I'll take it apart and show you how I did it. So I've got, what I'm using is a electric bike battery, which is it a Leon battery? It says it on there, look. And it's 36 volt and it's 13 amp. And I bought it second hand. This was a budget bike, so I bought it second hand off eBay, and it seemed to do the job all right. So that's the battery I'm using. Then I've got a twist grip up here, which is like a Chinese special thingy. Get off eBay. I think that at the time it was only about £5, maybe a bit more expensive now, but not that much more expensive. And I've wired those through the control unit, which is a Flipski or a Flipsky. I'm not sure how you say it. And this is an electric skateboard part. So that's the, I don't know, is that the brains of it? Probably the computer bit of it. And that, so the power comes down from the battery, which sits at the back here, just slides in, and through that, which has to be programmed. And that was a job and a half, and I wouldn't even remember how I did it now. I used quite a few videos from YouTube of the skateboard lads in America, most of them, sort of told me how to download the VISC tool. That's VESC tool, which is a program, and you can download it onto your PC, and then you plug it into the bike via a little lead onto this mini board thing. I know this is all as clear as mud, but and then you mess about the parameters, and I don't even remember what they were. I was on the I was watching these videos and taking notes, and eventually got there, because originally it wouldn't work, because you don't want too much power coming down, because you'll burn the motor out and things like that, or you'll open up the throttle and it'll pop the valve, pop the fuse, because you're taking too much load from the battery. So this thing looks after the battery and the motor, but it does need to be programmed. It is easy enough if you know what you're doing. I'm told, but I did get there eventually. But really, this video isn't about that. This video is about how I connected the motor, which is a little baby skateboard motor, to the engine. And I've got a little note I'm looking at here. So I've got the it was a Torqueboard 6355 260 kV brushless motor. Is that kilovolts? I don't know what that is. It's as I say, I'm not an electrician, but I did enjoy making this work, doing the mechanics of it, which was basically to take the crankshaft out, cut it in half, and then so you're driving the gearbox side of the crankshaft with the motor, and ditching all the rest. And so you end up with this little, it's basically a little gearbox, original gearbox, but without the without the two-stroke bit. So you remove the exhaust, carburetor, cylinder head. Now someone was talking to me and said, "Oh, I think I'd have them. Could you put them back on just to make it look like it was a two-stroke?" I said, and the answer is yes, you can. I've made a plate here, but you could have the a cylinder there with a cylinder head, a little dummy carburetor or something, and then a bit of an exhaust if you wanted to. I thought, in a way I can see why he was saying that, but really a thing like this, you want to keep the weight down, because it's like all these electric vehicles, this one works well and it will go up to 35 miles an hour, and if you were to have a bit bigger battery, different motor, you could get it going a lot quicker. But this was just a little project for me. And yeah, but like I was just going to say, all electric vehicles, even the big expensive ones, they just don't get the range. So this little bike with a small battery and everything, 20 miles max, and that's not even any good for a moped run. So I did actually wire up, well, I bought another battery. It would have been nice to get one that just slid in, but it didn't. So I've just got an adapter lead, so I can put a battery in here if I go on a little run on it. This was when it was on the road, so I hadn't been on the road for a couple of years. And I started getting a bit low on this. I would just swap the other battery and I know I could get home okay. But yeah, that's it really. So as I say, I'm babbling on here. The idea of this video was just to show you what I've done in here, and I'll put you in the stand the camera up in the stand. Let's get on and have a look. Right then, so we're going to take the cover off, and what you usually find in here, as you probably know if you're looking at this, is the magneto on the end of the crankshaft, and that supplies power for the points and the HT coil and also the lights. But that's been removed, and we got this little motor, and it's a skateboard motor, as previously mentioned. The Torqueboards 6355-260 kVs. Now what I will do, before we take it apart, I might as well show you that working. So if I just come back a bit, we'll go up a bit, we'll do something, come back a bit here. Oh. There we go. So there's my battery. That just slides in the back like on a e-bike. I mean, there's a little lock, you can lock it in, stop it sliding out. We'll switch that on, and just grab hold of the camera. So there's a little switch up here, and if I come around now with the power on, you can see this thing's fired up, little blue light. And if I turn the throttle now, hear it working. Okay, come around here, do the same thing. And if I put it in gear, put it in second, there we go. I'm rubbing on the floor a bit, but you get the gist of it. I don't want to do it too much in case it zooms off, in case it grips on the bottom of the stand here and zooms off down the workshop. Be a bit embarrassing. So yeah, that's it. So let's switch that off now, and let's put burning rubber off the tyre. How about that? And put you back in the holder, and let's get this thing apart. Right, so what I've got here is a plate that the motor's mounted to, and then I think, I can't remember fully. Oh yeah, that's it. There's a rubber mount in here. I'll show you, a rubber coupling. So this is bolted on through these bolts here, which is, you know, original engine bolts. And then that one there is a bolt that goes through the gearbox. But we're okay to, it won't fall out, but you'll see. I've got a little slot there for the screwdriver, so I can get an open-ended spanner and undo that. And I shall undo these bolts here, so I can just pull this out of the way and show you what we got. Okay. Long time since I took, you know, since I worked on this, so I've got to try and remember. So this, the plate here is, I've got it rubber mounted on some bushes, some grommets, because I didn't use any machinery as such to line everything up, because I haven't got it really. And I found the first time I did this plate was bolted just straight to the engine. It was fine for a little while, but because it wasn't lined up properly, it was putting a load for the base of this motor here, and it actually cracked out one day. So since doing a rubber mount on it, it's been okay. So that's that bolt there. I'm going to undo this P-clip. So I can get to these others. And I noticed now some of these rubber grommets are getting a bit knackered. Probably because it's, you know, because it hasn't been drilled off on a machine nice and square. And it's as square as my little eyeball could give it, but it has kind of rooted the rubber mounts a little bit from what I can see. So that's a good reason for taking it apart, if nothing else. And another one down here. Just putting these in some kind of order. You probably can't see that, but I can't remember if they're different lengths or anything. So I'm undoing this one, but I may have to get hold of that. Oh no, she's coming out all right. Just get that screwdriver in there to hold the bolt. Oh, it doesn't actually need it, I don't think. Oh yes, it does. Come on. Got a washer and a spring washer. There's my spring washer. There's the washer. And this is what we got in here. Now that's part of a lawnmower. So that's a drive coupling off a Webb lawnmower. And then you've got a gear here which is connected. Am I going to take this apart? Might have to. I didn't think I'd have to, but yeah. So I've got a gear here which looks like there's a little grub screw holding that on, which is keyed, and then I think this comes off and have a look, see what we've got in there. So I'm going to hold this. Don't really want it falling. I didn't really want to take all the wires off, because although I can undo the main ones for the motor, there seems to be a control wire here which goes all the way up to the box. But so in here is my drive coupling, rubber mounted, and works a treat. I've got a shim here, can't remember why, probably literally just to shim it out, because it probably went in too far. So that's my little drive coupling. And then this looks like a homemade bit. Yeah, I must have made that. So I've made the shim as well, but I've got a little spacer there. And I've got this shim. Forgot I had the shim, but I'd imagine what happened was I put the motor on and it was rubbing on here. So that's shimming it out so you don't squash all this up. Yeah, so you're now looking at this plate, which I've fitted to the end of the left hand side of the crankshaft. And I've had to get a book out here to try and help explain. So the bit that I've got left in the engine is this. This goes to the clutch. On the other end, that goes to the magneto. But that's all gone now. We remove that pin, and you ended up with I ended up with the crankshaft, just half of it. So it's got this odd shape on it. It's to do with balancing and everything. But I then used the bit I'd removed from the other side, cut it up and welded it in. So I ended up with, this was all just one big disc. And that disc is behind that plate. That makes sense. And then with the Quickly engine, we're lucky because obviously I need 2 bearings to support that. I've removed the other big end bearing, but with the Quickly engine, it made it easy to do because that's the bearing I'm using. That's the remaining main bearing. And then the crankshaft goes through that, and I'll get the clutch part of this. There we go. So we've got that. Let me see that, sorry, you got that. And that's supported by the remaining main bearing. Then it goes through the clutch, and you've got another bearing here inside this cup that slides up and down when you're pushing the clutch in. But we're lucky because that, you know, that's able to support that shaft. That cup there with the bearing inside it then sits inside this part of the crankshaft. And although it moves, it's supporting it all the time, which enables you to do this quite easy on a Quickly engine. But, you know, you'd have to think again on another engine how quite you're going to support the other side of the half crankshaft, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that is basically it really. Hope that makes sense. I'm just going to go and double check everything, probably put some new grommets in here. They've seemed to have better days, seen better days. It's just because it's moving around a bit, I think. And there's a little, you can see there's a little bit of a debris here. Yeah. So this little bike, I did have it on the road for a couple of years. I got it MOT to make it all legal, and then insured. And it didn't cost that much to add to my insurance. I think it was only about 15 quid or something. And I used to use it to bomb down to the town and across the other village, pick up eggs and that from the farm. And it was brilliant. But then I think it was about 2 years ago, they wanted more money for the insurance. Quite why, I don't know. Whether they just picked up on it was a homemade thing or what. And it was, well, they would insure it. It wasn't £15 anymore. It was more like, I don't know, it might have been £100 or something. It just wasn't really worth me doing. I'd done my project. You know, it's an ideal little thing. It could be a good pit bike going up the old pit lane. But I've enjoyed doing it. And as I say, I've been asked how I did the mechanical bits of it, and I hope that answers your questions. I'm going to get this back together now, and we'll get the old camera girl to video me going up and down the road. So that's it for now. You thought I'd forgotten, didn't you? Well, actually I had. Yeah, I said I'd take this off to show you in here how we mounted this motor onto this plate. So a bit of it's from memory, you know, I've got to try and remember what I did here. There's a grub screw holding what would have been the drive for the skateboard, this would have had a rubber drive belt on it, a ribbed one, you know. So there's a little Allen key in here, and before I undo that, what I thought I would do is just check, or rather measure, the distance between that that drive and the end of the shaft, just so I can put it back in the same place. So just measure that. That says 952. So a couple of times. 952. If I do it across that shaft a bit there, keeps it nice and square. 946. $955. Oh bloody hell! Come on. 946. $931. I want to get a constant reading. 953. $953. With it nice and square, with this gauge nice and square on that shaft bit there, because that's a domed end, I think. 953. We're going to write that down, and just as a reference, 953. Okay, so there's a little grub screw in here, which I remember I always used to put in with Loctite. So I was hoping that would come undone and not strip out. So I'm going to undo that, and then this comes off, I think. Yeah, look, there we go. That comes off. There's a key in the motor, and there's a keyway in this interesting. There's a keyway in the what would have been the drive. And what I've done here, I remember I got my mate to machine this so that it was a shrink fit. So what I've done is I've heated up the alley, and then I gave him some measurements, which I worked out. Can't remember how. Might have been a bit of luck and what have you, but I fitted that, and then he's just machined that off flat. I remember now. It's amazing you forget at my age anyway. So yeah, so that's that bit on there, and then on the motor for the skateboard, there's four attachment bolts. I won't undo them, but they basically just attach it to this plate, as you can see. So there we go. Let's get it back together. Well, that's the motor back on. I put new grommets around here. The other ones have got a bit mangled. I think perhaps it should be a heavier duty rubber on the grommets, but this is alright for now. But I thought I'd take the plate off, just try to explain a bit more. As you can see that turning round, the pencil. This part here is the remaining part of the crankshaft, and it's now a disc. I think this is the remaining part here. And if you look, if I turn it around, you can see where I've welded in extra bits to make it into a disc. And then you can see the plate that I've bolted on with the little tabs on. And then there's the rubber, you can see the rubber coupling in there, look. Just see the rubber coupling in there. So that's it, and it's all, so this nut is now rubber mounted to the crankcase. Not that it's a crank anymore, but yeah, just thought I'd add that. I also thought I might just see if I can put a cylinder on there, see what it looks like, because it's been commented on before. We'll see how we get on with that. Okay, while editing these little videos to put together about my little electric bike, I realised I'd left out quite a big job, which is what you have to do if you're doing what I did. If you're doing it the same as me, you have to remove some of the crankcase in order to get your electric motor to fit in there. And I didn't explain that before, so just to say that we're back on there, that in order to make that plate fit with the motor on it, yeah, so to do that I just, if I remember right now, I just drilled through, you know, this was a separate piece, drilled through with a row of holes from a drill, broke this out, and then used a sanding wheel to blend it in nicely, and then cut this off with a hacksaw or something. I can't actually remember, but this is the area you have to remove. It's an easy enough job. Of course it buggers this up, you can't use it as a petrol engine again, but I've got loads of old bits of engine hanging about, so it didn't really matter. And there's loads of these about. This one I use for my mock-up when I'm testing magnetos, and as you can probably see, the stand's broken. But yes, that's what I did with that. So I thought I'd better include that. Well, I got a bit carried away, found some old parts, and so I've put a dummy cylinder and cylinder head on, the downpipe which I've painted and sort of cut off. And so I actually think it looks alright with that on there. A few people suggested that I did that, so yeah, it don't look too bad, I reckon. Okay, well, let's get her out and give her a little run up and down the road. So here we are, out in the sunshine, got the camera girl on the camera. Just a little test drive. So I'm going to switch the battery on. It's not full. It's about 2/3 full. That'll be right for this little demo. I'll stick my hat on in case the cops drive past. So with it in neutral, the engine's going, so pop it into first, and away we go. Oh, that's good. When I first built it, I just had it in first gear. It was fine, we bombed around everywhere on it. Didn't we, darling?
Yeah, we did. Lovely little thing.
But now I've got second gear, so because first gear sometimes it's what's the matter?
I didn't know it had second gear.
Eh?
Carry on.
No, you didn't know it's second gear. No, it hasn't now. So when I was coming down here, I was popping it in second, and it's great. So yeah, that's it really. I'll do one. Well, I'll go around there, and Johnny will just. You can go around the corner there and just show me coming back down.
Okay.
Yeah? And yeah, that's it really. See you in a bit.
Here he comes. quite sure where he's going now.
Well, that's it, folks. Little run round. I don't know what else to say now. Apart from hope you like the video, and bye for now.